It was the Victoria and Albert Museum painting studios, those which became part of the Royal College of Art Painting School, that provided me with a model of a space intended for creativity. Subsequently, the hallowed light of lime-washed medieval churches made me appreciate that the cold northerly light of a painting studio lacked some vitality. In a simple barn conversion, I have slowly been making a studio that tries to combine these essential qualities for an inspiring working environment. Nobody wanted to buy what is now my barn, as it required too much work to renovate. In rural France, labour broadly costs the same as anywhere else in Europe, and new properties sell at about the price of their construction. But renovating a barn nicely by paying people to do the work means that you could spend, say, 150,000 and have a barn that you couldn't sell for 100. In most of southern England, by contrast, properties sell at about 4 times the price that they cost to build, which means that spending money on them for new kitchens, bathrooms and conservatories can be justified, whether or not the building is improved. Barns, as barns, have become redundant as far as the industrial economy is concerned. Agriculture is now centralised and done by machines that require hangars for what they do, dwarfing the old houses whose annexed barn was of the same domestic scale. The top floor of the village house in France is called the grenier, a place to store the grain, while the barn was for the hay. So the top floor of my barn took the dry grass while the cows were milked and overwintered, when necessary, at ground level. The hay to feed them was simply forked through a hole from above directly into the mangeoire, the manger. The key thing for giving a new use to an old building is to propose a function that naturally fits the existing form. Here, the upper floor of this barn, in the Pyrenean foothills, has been retained as one volume, just as it was as a hayloft, to make a drawing studio. I needed this barn as a workshop for making things. Its conversion into a drawing studio was always foreseen, but secondary. It seems to be a distinction that Royal College of Art students of my generation were applied artists, makers as well as designers. It was, after all, pre-computer. It is too easy to drift off into meetings and spreadsheets and leave all the fun to the employees or the subcontractors. Imagination is certainly one thing, but for me it would be almost impertinent to be a designer of buildings with no direct experience of making. Except for the rebuilding of one of the masonry walls, I have done all of the building work to the barn myself. The re-roofing has been the only project that I carried out as a full-time job during the hottest summer ever recorded. Everything else has been done like eggs from a hen, now and then. Almost to my own disbelief, the chestnut for the new windows that I have begun to make is from trees that I felled myself and had sawn at a local sawmill before stacking it to dry for 10 years. As with most pre-industrial technology, joinery has an integrity that makes you lament when you see the convulsions that industrial manufacture puts us through. Joinery requires no more than the wood itself. Joints are made from and in the components simply by shaping them. The contrast to a PVC window is palpable. There, an infinite extrusion of synthesized muck is cut to mitered lengths and held together with metal fixtures and fittings before you add the ugliest handles and hinges that you can find. And all for what? 20 years later, it will be in landfill, having given pleasure to nobody but the manufacturer's bank balance and the illusion that they are maintenance-free. The new chestnut windows follow conventional 19th century design. There is no need to reinvent the wheel. Unlike PVC windows, they are repairable. The next plot to hatch is to inhabit the ground floor, the more complex part of the building work. Gone are the cattle, to be replaced with a kitchen and a bathroom. Gone is the wood store, to be replaced with a workshop. Spring of 2020 has been a novel period of uncertainty, among periods of uncertainty that coagulate to form lives. It is not the first time I have traversed 3 months of my life with no engagement in the established economy. I naturally ask if 3 months' inactivity is sufficient to bring a world system to its knees. Should we reconsider the worth of that system? I was confined in my timber and lime-washed workshop, playing again with sticks and stones. This tangible work is no more than a necessary step. The work that really matters is the work that will be done in the studio once the building work is complete.